Okay, welcome to the Calexit meeting. Former members of Yes California also still have the Yes California YouTube channel, pointing that out. And we're part of Calexit LLC. We're talking about this poll here today. If you go to Calexit LLC, that's Calexit LLC on Twitter. You want to go to Calexit LLC, the official tweet house of the Calexit movement, as headed by Calexit LLC. If you want more information, you can email CEO Jason Wright at calexitllc.com. Yesterday, we recently released a poll. Would you vote for Robert Kennedy Jr. as President of the United States in 2024? Your options are if he ran as a Democrat, Republican, third party, or if you would not vote for him. That poll is going to be open for a few days. Please go to Calexit LLC and take the poll. I'm going to turn it over to Jason, the person who designed the poll.
Yeah, thank you. This poll I decided to make and put up here because I noticed Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Announced that he will be running for president in 2024. And that could potentially, depending on how much support he may or may not have, could potentially throw a wrench into the system as far as, Biden versus Trump. So I wanted for us as a group, since we do a lot of political analysis, to be able to analyze this together and try to gauge whether or not RFK Jr. could either potentially be like Bernie Sanders, as far as, someone so massively popular they could mop the floor with Trump and Biden put together, or maybe Bernie Sanders more in the way that, the people maybe support him and maybe he could win it, but the DNC decides to do their usual trickery, which is totally in their rules and bylaws, so it's perfectly legal for them to say, assign the vote for their nominee before everyone's voted. Like, say, that one time, the night before California was set to vote for the primaries, they announced Hillary Clinton as the winner, even though Bernie swept California. So say California's own state published statistics.
Yeah, I remember that.
So there's a lot of different ways it could go. Maybe he's just popular enough to pull away some, support. But there's vax stuff that people don't agree with him. So maybe he would run as a red and would pull votes away from Trump if he did. Or would he run as a blue and pull away votes, but not enough because the anti-vax thing or whatever it is? I kind of feel for the guy because I see some of his positions as fairly middle ground, and I kind of like that. I don't like the polar extreme, and I think that drives more division, as Marcus has been talking about recently with some professors on our channel. So I see that there is potential, right? But then I see that this poor guy, happens to exist in politics at the time of coronavirus number 19. Love potion number 19. You take one side and half of the people vilify. You take the other side, the other half of the people vilify. It's kind of a darned if you do, darned if you don't time to exist in politics. If you have to take the stance of it. Us with Calexit, we've been fortunate enough, like, yeah, it's impacted our signature drives for our petitions, but it's not something we've had to take a big stance and say whether or not we love the masks or, you know, the shots or anything. We don't have to address it and put a big spotlight and bullseye on ourselves, which is nice. But obviously, you know, RFK Jr. here, he had to say some stuff, so he did. And because of that, would he pay the price of being able to take some votes and not all of them? And if so, would that upset the blue side's presidential election? If so, that would mean RFK Jr. running might actually hurt Biden, help Trump. But again, there's so many different possibilities. We have to at least run some polls and try to get some numbers so that we can gauge this. So that's what this poll is all about. And I wanted to be as fair-minded as I could. I'm a Green. Marcus is a reformed Republican. We've got folks who are Dems, folks who are libertarian. Some of the folks who love Calexit are straight up anarchists down in like SoCal and out, you know, between Fresno and Bakersfield area. You know, we got a mix of people all across the spectrum. So I wanted to be very fair, and because the man seems very middle ground on a lot of his stances, I wanted to give the option, hey, if he runs as this, that, a third party, and, you know, please specify, like, for myself, as an example, if I was voting on this, I would, you know, if I was going to vote for him, I would check the third party one, and then comments below, just put, you know, if he ran as a Green, I would vote for him. Or, you know, in the case of the California freedom fighter, special shout out over there, CA Freedom Fighter, over on Twitter, popped in a very clear comment of why they would not vote for RFK Jr. This is the kind of stuff that we need. This is the interaction we need. But we need it for more than just one. We need as many people to weigh in nationally as possible. Not just California, but all across America. Let us know, what do you think about this guy and his policies and his viability as a president, and whether or not you would vote for him, and if so, which party? I also see that, you know, some of these statistics might actually even be helpful to RFK Jr.'s campaign. So, you know, if they wanted to circulate it too, I definitely encourage that. Not so subtle, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Yeah, I hope to be doing more polling, especially over this whole next year as national election stuff comes back into the fold. I want us to have more polls in this kind of a frame. And one thing that's going to help that along is more interaction with it. And so if it means, you know, raising $50 so that we can pump that into promoting the poll tweet, right? You know, whatever it looks like, I think we would be really well served to start gathering numbers and kind of doing what we do best, read the writing on the wall. We read the writing on the wall before Trump got elected, and guess what?
True.
We were some of the very, very few people who were right. Sometimes it really sucks to be right. And we've been right about all sorts of other things. Is the mainstream media gonna refuse to host debates for the recall of Gavin Newsom?
Right.
Of course they're not gonna hold debates. Debates against their buddy? Right.
Right.
Yeah, ask me if I'll help you take down my brother's business and get him removed from the CEO spot on his board of directors. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, totally. I mean, some of this stuff is kind of no-brainer. But then other stuff like, is Trump going to win it? You know, that's a little more finesse involved. And that's a lot more of the reading the writing on the wall, especially the writing that most people want to gloss over. They're like, oh yeah, it says here in the beginning there was this, that, the other, and then this other thing, and oh, and then we jump all the way over here to the other side of the room where it says this other stuff, and they miss all the stuff in the middle that talks about, like, you know, I don't know, sometimes people get into power based on, you know, promising certain things so that they can get into power, so that they can do pretty much the exact opposite. We saw that out of more than just Trump's election. So
Saw it in Germany with the people elected there.
yeah, right. Chancellor Scholz
And Birnbaum.
Yeah.
The warmonger who presented herself as a peace advocate.
Yeah, and she did quite the 180 there, because America forced Germany to say we're for war. Even though most of Germany is like, oh, no. We'll mess someone up if they come and attack us, but we're not for going outside of our own borders for war anymore. We learned a lesson about that some years ago, several decades ago. Not really all that long.
Yeah. 180s. It's a funny thing.
But yeah, you know, Annalena Baerbock, she actually won that election. And it was proven that an American company based in London, so America and England together, again, screwing with people's elections and their elected officials, just like the whole wiretap thing. It was America and England wiretapping allied nations leaders, right? So America and England messed with that election, made up images of Annalena Baerbock, which were proven to have been false, but only proven after the damage had already been done. They ran a total smear campaign on her, made her look like kind of the last person that you would really want to elect to any sort of government office. And, you know, then it comes out that this company did this, and, you know, Schultz actually, even why he did the what their current parliament is, the coalition government, is because he actually did a decent thing as far as politics goes in the modern world today. He did a decent thing and said, okay, even though it says that I won, we have proof that she would have won it and should have actually been the chancellor. So she will be my second in command and share, you know, darn near equal responsibility over the government.
Okay.
Like, imagine if America could do that. Just admit, not everything was perfect because there was some hinky stuff. We're going to do things in an all-inclusive way so that everyone's a little bit upset, but also a little bit pleased.
Like Bush and Gore agreed to a compromise?
Exactly. That's the sign of a good compromise. Each side leaves feeling like they both won and lost at the same time.
Snotty. Yeah. Okay. Any other topics anybody wants to cover? This is your chance to bring up anything. We're here. Rich has a point. We don't want to spend more than an hour. We've been here 1:15. Is there anything else? Any questions? Anything anybody would like to talk about?
I'd like to ask for input and suggestions on poll topics. And like, you know, if you've got a poll and the wording and like the options all clearly thought out and everything, go ahead and send it. Let me know. I want to do more polling. So please, let's put our collective political brains together and come up with some more good stuff.
Yeah. Let's come up with some more stuff. Keep it going. So make sure that plenty of opportunities for people to say anything. So if anybody has anything they'd like to bring up, please, this is your time to bring up anything you'd like to talk about.
I would also like to make a quick announcement, both to the board and to everyone in general, globally, as a species, all of humanity. And, you know, if you don't really believe that you're human and you feel like you're from Pluto or Saturn or Mars or something, Elon, then, you know, you can still listen and maybe take it to heart too. The Calexit LLC page, here and there, I tweet out from it and I try to make it clear when it's me, Jason Wright, the CEO, talking. And then everything else is all just Calexit. It's not me, it's us. This is our content, our page. Marcus does live streams and they pop up on there.
Yep.
If you've got poll suggestions and stuff, I'll put them up on there. We can run that stuff. When it comes to personal pages, and this is one thing that one reason why I didn't really want my personal, I don't have a Calexit LLC Instagram. I do have my own personal one with my full name. So, you know, when it comes to a personal account that someone's had, especially one that they've had since before, you know, doing all of this, our policy is that what you privately do and feel and think and say as an individual and what you post on your social media, that's you. That's not the group. The group is when it's up on the Calexit LLC Twitter or broadcasting from our Yes California YouTube channel. It's not Calexit when it's from the personal page, unless someone is doing a very like specific, you know, an example, if I was to post something about Calexit, use the hashtags and, you know, all of that, that's my prerogative because it's my personal thing. my personal, media page. And if I choose to promote that, I choose to promote that. The only times that we are going to care about what people are posting, any of our members are posting on their personal social media, is if it's racist, if it's anti-LGBTQ, if it's against the values that we so clearly stand for, then of course we will have to say something. Like if I was to, and this is hypothetical, theoretical, I would never. But if I was to say something about there are only two genders up on my personal Instagram page, even though, my sister, my niece, a whole heap of friends through my life have transitioned. If I was for some reason different and decided to post that, then I hope Marcus would come out and say, hey, that's really insensitive. And as the CEO of the whole thing, it looks really bad that we're all about inclusivity, California values, queer, this, that, the other, and you're posting something like that. Or if I'm promoting violence, like what we ran into with the Cascadia group, posting a picture of an assault rifle with "No more peaceful protests, revolt now," then yeah, someone has to say something.
I remember that.
But if it's, I'm saying I don't like tacos, I don't like watermelon, I love fried chicken, I like getting my hands in the dirt and, planting peas and corn and carrots and potatoes. That's, if it's on my personal page, that's my personal opinions and my personal beliefs, and it has nothing to do with Calexit. What is my love for planting potatoes and, cross-pollination of varying species of potatoes? What does that have to do with anything with Calexit? So, for literally every living being that can understand these words, please keep that in mind. We are a socio-political movement. We are a political movement based around a society and an idea of a society. It's not any one person. I'm the head, I'm the CEO. Technically, I'm the owner, operator, whatever of Calexit LLC, but really, there are 40 million of us Californians. I'm an Oregon resident. I'm actually one of Oregon's state electors. But I'm still Californian. I'm sitting out here outside enjoying the beautiful Oregon weather right now, wearing my California hat.
Right on.
There are 40 million of us Californians around the world right now as I'm speaking. It's about us, and not just us. It's about us and what we can do together. What we can do if we decide to come together and do this thing. The massive amount of benefit that not just us Californians would reap is mind-boggling. Food shortages in America will let California go independent. We'll streamline and refine everything the ways that we've been trying to do, the ways that the federal government keeps holding us up from doing. Yeah, we'll finish all of that. And then our fourth largest economic superpower in the world might just turn into third or even second. And then what's going to happen with our friendly next door neighbors who are like, you know, aunts and uncles and cousins and grandpas and whatnot, over next door in the United States, you know, oh, they're going through food shortage. What, do you think California wouldn't help out? Of course we would. We're California. And that's still our family. Just because we're breaking away from the federal union doesn't mean we have to turn it to World War III, join the Communist Union of China or whatever, join Soviet Russia, even though that's not even a thing anymore.
Right.
I mean, I literally watched the end of that when I was 3 years old. But, you know, like it doesn't have to be some ridiculous thing. In fact, there is a very inspirational vision, which I share with many others, for a nation of Pacifica. The whole Pacific coast, Alaska, Washington, Oregon, California, total California, todos Californios, Baja Sur, complete California, all the way from the peninsula of Baja and the coast of, or the Gulf of California, all the way up to the Aleutian Islands and back over and down to Hawaii, which would hopefully be a sovereign kingdom of Hawaii once again. That entity, in its own union between those independent entities, would likely take number one on the world stage of global economics. You need building supplies? What kind? We got them. You need food? What kind? We got it.
Good point.
There would be very few resources that are demanded globally that wouldn't be able to be found in the Union of Pacifica. So, you know, we could have something like that. We could all be working towards something like that. And, you know, through our prosperity, better the world. Or we can continue on with the, well, I don't want to swear, the expletive show. Continue on with the dumpster fire that's been going on. We can dumpster fire. We know what dumpster fire is. Sure, it's hot. We don't always want the heat, though. Sure, you can cook on it, but you don't really want to cook your steaks on a dumpster fire. It's going to taste bad. So maybe it's worth it looking into this other option. Freedom, prosperity, unity. And as Pacific peoples, we are much closer to one another in many ways than I think a lot of us realize. Having moved up here to Oregon, I see it very clearly up here. Like, people in Oregon are Oregonians. But you know what else they are? They're Pacific people. Just like Californians. Us Californians, we are Californians. But we are Pacific people as well. And I think that Pacific unity, you know, maybe it's the weather, maybe it's something in our water or the cleaner air, but we do have a lot of similarities. Enough that we could really bind together with that. So yeah, you know, keep it in mind. Everyone gets their opinions. I'm a firm believer in Pacifica. I know not everyone is, and the movement of Calexit is not about the creation of Pacifica. It's just a potential that I like to put out there to motivate one's potential desire for Calexit.
Okay, does anybody have anything else they'd like to cover? Anyone else? Anything else? Okay, then we'll leave it there. I'll just say, please check us out on the interviews we're doing on political division. If you know any writers, philosophers, thinkers, activists, professors, anybody who could think deeply about where we are as a country in political division, I would like to interview them. Please send them over to me or send that contact information to me. We're continuing to do interviews with all sorts of people around America. We have the most interviews with more scholars who've studied political division than any university or any research publication or any book ever published in the last 20 years on the topic of political division. So we're already in a separate atmosphere with our work. Please help us be successful. It's all about getting those interviews. Got to know new people to reach out to and get an interview with who are, somebody worth talking to on the subject, not just Joe Bob. They could be an activist, they could be a teacher, but somebody who has some lived experience or a writer. We've interviewed some small town newspaper writers, but there are people who spent some time thinking about where America is with political division and where it could go. So only highbrow interviews, but please, if you know anybody, if you have any ideas, always looking forward to that. Please check us out at the poll. Go to Calexit LLC on Twitter. That's Calexit LLC on Twitter. Calexit LLC on Twitter. You can check us out there. Robert Kennedy's running. We're just trying to explore the options there. Mr. Kennedy has made a splash. It's also interesting to see how the media system is going to react to him, because he already seems to have upset the establishment, and he's already getting some, let's call it standard establishment treatment. So just something I've noticed. I'll leave it there. I'm not taking a stance on him. I'm just saying something I've noticed with the way the media operates. Jason, back to you. Any other comments? Anything we should discuss? We have a couple more minutes. Is there something important?
Well, on the topic of national presidential elections, I would like to remind folks who were or maybe are still in the same stance that I was in like 8 years ago or so, where Senator Bernard Sanders was the guy to be the next president, and the last chance for hope, so to speak. If you are wondering if Bernie might run, if he might give it one last go and see if the DNC will do right by the people rather than just prop up some old dead horse yet again. Well, you can rest easy, because that answer has been made very clear. Senator Bernard Sanders has openly endorsed President Joseph R. Biden for re-election. He is not going to run against him. I repeat, the only person who could actually mop the floor with Donald J. Trump is not going to run. Alarm bells should be sounding, people. You remember nearly 10 years ago-ish, I gave this interview to CCTV, seen in like 52 countries, heard in, as many languages, about how if it's not Bernie versus Trump and it's Trump versus anyone else, that the sycophants and the people who are diehard supporters of him no matter what, that they will vote him in and he will be in. Now, that held true years ago. You can bet your sweet bippy it still holds true today. Biden has done nothing but lose support and favor with the voters. And same with Kamala. Kamala's, somehow done worse than Biden. And that's the ticket that they're going to put up against Trump. And people were saying, "Oh, but they just arrested Trump. They've got him. He's not going to be able to be president. He's going to be in prison." Oh yeah, they let him out the next morning or something on his own recognizance. They don't do that when you have committed capital offense.
Yeah,
they
let
don't
him
do
go
that.
hours later.
Yeah, they don't do that when you've committed such an egregious federal crime that you are looking at spending the rest of your living days behind bars. They don't let you out on your own recognizance. But they did that with him. So, no, he is not going to be behind bars. He is going to be running for president. And DeSantis, though he's got some popularity, he's not going to beat Trump in the RNC. And so they're going to give the nomination to Trump, and then the entirety of the nation's Republican voters are going to vote for Trump. Are the entirety of the nation's Democrat voters and independent voters and all non-Trump voters, are they all going to vote for Biden and Harris? Yeah, right? A lot less likely. I think I stand a better chance of getting my margarita maker into heaven. And I don't even own a margarita maker. So yeah, alarm bells should be sounding for everyone. You should be able to, remember we saw the writing on the wall, spelled it out clearly. We read it out to everyone. We then explained it in both layman and non-layman terms of what this means and what the future will look like because of that. And, then things still happened and we haven't Calexited yet. And here we are again, right at the same point. So folks, take two. This time it's really go time, okay? we need to get up and go now. Seriously, before it's too late. Because he was not smart enough to be able to get 90% of the things that he wanted done. You can rest assured they've already worked on that. They've got a plan and a team together. They are going to do those things.
Yep. I was talking to somebody and they're like, "Oh my God, it's going to be Trump versus Biden again," and that could happen. That could happen. Okay. Well, Anything else from anybody else? Watch out for the elections. America's still not stable. Help us get quality interviews with people on political division, and get ready because America's still not stabilizing. It's still not coming together. And that's one thing that I've noticed with the interviews is almost all of the professors don't have a sure answer on how to fix the country, and almost all of them end with the phrase, "I hope." And I thought, wow, these are some of the top minds who studied the topic of political division, and all of them aren't sure it can be fixed, and all of them kind of go, well, I hope. That does not look good for placing your faith in the future of the United States. Just saying. That's just my preliminary opinion from the investigations. You guys can watch all the interviews and come away with any conclusion you want. But I haven't seen one of them go, oh, I know how we get out of this for sure, and say it with a sense of confidence. So that should say something. We're exposing the truth as we typically do. Well, okay, we'll leave it there. If that's it, thank you all for being here. And appreciate it, everybody. We will see you soon. Please email me or email Jason if you got any ideas, or if you want to do a show on something, or you want to debate something, or you know some people who would be good guests to talk about political division. We don't care if they're on the left or on the right, or what their perspective is, just that they are thoughtful, and we'll leave it there. Jason, is it okay? I'll end the show.
Yeah, totally. Let me just close it out by saying, Viva todos Californios. Sí se puede.
I love that you can actually say that correctly. I love that. Very California.
Mucho gusto, hermanos y hermanas. Adios.
Adios. We'll see you guys later.